So as the video title suggests, today we're talking about the Leica Q camera. I just bought one, but spoiler alert, there is no fancy B-roll in this video, there is no street photography, and there are zero elaborate montages of any description. What I can give you is roughly 6 points in 6 minutes, comparing the Q to the Leica SL, Leica CL, Leica M, why I bought the camera, why now in June 2022, and why I bought the Q instead of the Q2. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Hi guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So jumping straight into the benefits the Leica Q camera gives for me. Number one camera, one lens. This is the polar opposite of everything I relate to in terms of photography. I have many cameras and many lenses, and I really struggle to select only one camera and only one lens. So point number one is a personal maybe project. Try to use less kit and see if I can make better photos or equally good photos within those restraints. How does the Leica Q compare to the Leica CL camera? If you've seen this channel before, you know I did a video on the Leica Q Mini, and in that video I said that the Leica CL is better than the Leica Q in many respects. However, it is not better in all respects. The benefits the Leica Q gives me compared to the CL is the Leica Q is full frame. It gives me shallow depth of field from a 28 f1.7 lens. The nearest I can use on the Leica CL is the 24 2.8 Elmerit TL, which gives you an equivalent of f4 because it's a crop sensor camera. So it's comparing 1.7 depth of field bokeh and all that jazz to f4. You can't really compare. The Leica Q is going to blow the pants off the CL in terms of that type of image quality. And on top of that, maybe I'm really dumb, but I struggled with the autofocus on the Leica CL camera. Focus point was never where I wanted it when I needed it. The Leica Q autofocus just does exactly what you want it to do, exactly when you want to do it. And maybe some people might say it's too slow, but for my work, it's doing what I want when I want, which is a huge tick in the box for the Leica Q. Number three, Leica Q versus Leica SL. The Leica SL is an awesome camera, however, it is a bigger camera. When you attach a fast-ish, say 28 f2 M lens to the Leica SL, smaller than if you use an SL lens on an SL. The Leica Q is 50% lighter. If you wanted to buy the 28 1.4 lens for a Leica SL camera, it's about 2 times the price for Leica Q, roughly speaking. So as you've probably heard many times in Leica Q videos, you're pretty much getting the camera for free when you're paying the price for such an amazing lens. Similar to the Leica CL, I much prefer the autofocus on the Leica Q, with the point being where I want, when I want it, compared to the Leica SL. Number four, Leica Q versus Leica M. The Leica M cameras are roughly the same weight as the Leica Q camera, but then you need to attach a lens. So once you've attached a fast-ish 28mm lens to your Leica M camera, it's then roughly 33% heavier than a Leica Q. In addition to the weight benefit, the Leica Q offers you macro mode compared to a close focus distance of 0.7 meters. The Leica Q offers autofocus, where the Leica M cameras are obviously only manual focus, and the Leica Q has got the EVF, so what you see is what you get in terms of exposure, depth of field, and composition, compared to the Leica M camera, where you can't pre-visualize your depth of field and your exposure using an optical viewfinder. Point number five, why did I buy this camera? I bought this camera for weddings. Quick story to help explain my point. I was a guest at a family wedding maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and they hired a professional wedding photographer, a really nice guy called Paul, who had 20 plus years wedding experience. And I've shot weddings for 10 plus years using Leica cameras, mostly Leica M cameras, and I'm reasonably quick with a rangefinder camera. But seeing how quick he was using his cameras, it made me think I need to up my game to get that extra 10% of moments that maybe I was missing with my slightly slower Leica M camera. He had 2 Canon R5 bodies and 2 L-mount lenses, super fast L-mount glass, and he was just like, and he'd already taken 20 shots and got the moment before, the actual moment, and the moment after. I've always tended to shoot single shots, so I'd wait for that moment, but then sometimes if the people blink, you miss your shot. So that made me think, I need a faster camera. That's what first led me to look at the Leica Q. I have shot a wedding with the Leica Q before. Leica UK kindly lent me a Leica Q maybe 2019 or 2020. If you want to see more photos, I can link it below this video. The reason the Leica Q is so perfect for me for weddings, I tend to shoot 28mm-ish for wedding photography for much of the day as a reportage style photographer. You need fast lenses for weddings because it's often in low light, So the 1.7 maximum aperture is perfect. You need macro for detail shots, and then having the option of both autofocus and manual focus gives you the best of all worlds. And then point number 6, portraits. As you know, if you've seen this channel before, I tend to shoot mostly female portraits, although I do shoot guys as well. Most of my portraits tend to be with a 50mm focal length, but I do actually quite enjoy wider focal length, and you can get some really cool shots. I was using the TTR San 28mm for some portraits when I was last in Budapest. If you want to see behind the scenes videos from those, check out my Patreon link below. Find hours of useful content, everything you hopefully need to know about portraits and especially lighting. That's my 6 points I wanted to cover. The next question you may have is why now? Why June 2022 when the Leica Q was released in 2015? It was actually a 3-step story resulting in the final purchase, none of which was planned, I hasten to add. Step number 1, I accidentally saw a recent Peter McKinnon video where he showed the Leica Q2 reporter, and he makes everything look really sexy, doesn't he? And that camera did look really sexy, and if money was no object, I'd probably buy the Leica Q2 reporter because I think it looks really stealthy and just awesome. Point number 1, that made me think, these cameras are quite nice. Point number 2, as already mentioned, I went to a wedding, saw a guy shooting faster with autofocus cameras. Point number 3, the nail in the coffin as they might call it, or something more positive sounding. I did a pre-wedding shoot for one of my own wedding couples, Andy and Hayley. Andy just so happened to find me via, I think, YouTube, and he had his Leica Q camera, and he's like, do you want to take a few photos with my Leica Q? I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be really nice, thanks. And instantly I was like, this camera is so fast and amazing in terms of how quick and how close I could focus for like detail shots. We're doing a few ring shots, and I was just so impressed so quick. I was like, this is amazing. So I did a cheeky deal with Andy and Hayley. I said, if you prepay your wedding in full in advance, I'll buy a Leica Q and then I'll photograph your wedding with a Leica Q. And they're like, okay, done. And the rest is history. And then why the Leica Q and not the Leica Q2? I think if you've got more money, a fast computer, and you crop in heavily, and in particular you shoot JPEGs and you shoot in bad weather, you would probably absolutely love the Leica Q2 higher spec camera. If you shoot mostly 28mm, use a slower computer, and you've got less money, then the Leica Q is perfect for my needs. And then just a few quick observations from using the Leica Q, other than the fact it's amazing and I'm really enjoying it so far. Point number 1, if you look on the top of the camera, it shows it's got a maximum shutter speed of 0.02 of a second. When we were doing the pre-shoot, I was having to stop the lens down to 2.8 because 1.7 was too fast at ISO 100, and it was overexposing the images. If you're newish to the Leica Q camera, you may not know that you can actually use the extended shutter, which goes up to 16,000ths of a second. So now I know that, I don't need to buy an ND filter, so that's a bonus. And then point number 2, if you just happen to, like me, to use multiple Leica cameras, you can change the format of your files so that, for me, I start my M camera photos with an M, my Leica SL photos with an S, and Leica CL photos with a C. And then at a glance I know which files are from which camera without having to drill into the metadata. As you know, I do the Mr. Leica Lightroom presets for all my other cameras, and I already have the Leica Q black and white preset available from when I've used the Leica Q camera in the past. Now it's going to be one of my main cameras. I will develop a full Mr. Leica Q preset pack as I develop them for my own needs. If you want to see who won this month's monthly giveaway, again, it's in the description. And then lastly, am I going to sell the Leica CL? Now I've got the Leica Q. You saw my last video, bye bye Leica CL. Maybe I should have called this video hello Leica Q. I'm undecided. So at the moment, I'm maybe going to keep both, especially now it's discontinued. I forgot to mention that in the last video. There's not going to be a Leica CL2, and the Leica CL is now discontinued. And with that, if you enjoyed this video or you love Leica Q cameras, please smash the like button. We'll try and get as many likes as possible to give some Leica Q love. As always, a massive thanks to my awesome patrons, and if you want to learn more about portraits and anything like that, check the links below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.